Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu. My dear students, in today's lecture we are going to see functions of secretary. See, as of now in the chapter number 1 secretary in secretarial practice we are done with origin of secretary, meaning and definition, its features, its type. Now it's time to see the functions of secretary. See here, there are 9 functions which is given in your textbook as number 1 correspondence, then office management, reception function, financial functions, arranging meetings, statutory functions, assistance in formulating policies, providing information, administrative functions. Let's see each of this in detail. The very first function comes as correspondence. See, since the time we are learning this chapter, we are trying to understand this chapter, the most important part regarding the secretary we have learned is secretary does all the correspondence work. What is correspondence? Correspondence is nothing but a return communication. So yes, one of the important functions of a secretary is correspondence, return communication. Now, to have this written communication, there are different groups and different members which are known as stakeholders. See, secretary looks after the inward and outward mail. First of all, the inward and outward mail, the mail which company receives and the mail which company sends, then replying to the inquiries from outsiders. Whatever the inquiries the outsiders have, secretary tries to clear those inquiries and then doubts. Then comes government departments and other stakeholders. Now coming to the key important part, keyword as stakeholders. See, stakeholders are nothing but an individual or group which these people, the group or their individual are connected to the organization. Now when I say stakeholder of a company, they are defined into two: internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. That means those persons who are connected to company internally and those persons who are connected externally. So now the internal stakeholders are employees, manager and then owners. Coming to the external stakeholders, you have got suppliers, society, government, creditors, shareholders and customers. So now these are the different stakeholders with whom secretary does the correspondence, that is return communication. So one of the most important function of secretary is doing correspondence. Coming to the second function is office management. Secretary is responsible for the efficiency of the entire office routine. Now, what do you understand by the word efficiency? See, efficiency is the ability to avoid wastage of energy, efforts, money, time. See, in short, I can say that work can be done by utilizing the minimum amount of time, energy and resources. How efficient you are, how quick you are in completing your work with limited resource and limited time, that is known as efficiency. So now secretary is responsible for the efficiency of the entire office routine. All the work, the entire office routine should be done efficiently, and now this responsibility is handed over to the secretary. Now, secretary supervises and control. To supervise means to see or to manage, okay? And then control the staff and look after the activities of the association. Now see, secretary guides and supervise, along with it, it's control as well. So now the secretary to the office staff guide, supervise and control in relation with smooth functioning of the company. Okay, to have a better and smooth functioning of the company, the secretary guides, supervise and control office management function, And on the other side, the secretary also look after what? Training, promotion and transfer of the employees. So this is all work related to the office management which a secretary does. Coming to the third function of secretary is reception function. As you can see in the image itself, the lady is sitting on the reception, on the entrance desk, trying to solve the query of the lady. Likewise, it's written here, a personal secretary attends to telephone calls and visitors, attends to inquiries, fixing appointments, etc. Now, as you can see here, there is a lady sitting on the reception. The functions she is going to do is going to attend phone calls, going to attend the visitors, solve their inquiries and trying to fix the appointments with the boss, right? If you are a secretary of a personal, if you are a personal assistant of a person with great importance, right? Personal secretary. Personal secretaries are appointed by a person of great importance, we have already seen. So yes, if a person is a personal secretary, the reception function includes attending telephone calls, attending the visitors, solving their inquiries, queries, and then fixing appointments. This is a third function, reception function. Now coming to the fourth function is financial functions. Okay, financial functions, the word itself says all the functions which are related to money, right? Financial functions. Secretary handles the banking transactions and maintain proper books of accounts. Now, what is banking transaction? Banking transaction includes everything like, cash withdrawals, then you have got deposits, money, account transfer, you have payments from different bank accounts, like all the banking transaction, all the works related to bank, the banking transaction, and then secretary has to maintain proper books of accounts. Books of accounts, as you already know, what are books of accounts? Books of accounts are nothing but the ledger and journal you make, as you must be, started studying in your bookkeeping and accountancy, books of accounts. Now, secretary has to keep watch on the receipts and payments. What are the receipts and payments? Receipts are nothing but the amount you receive, and payments are something, your cash is going out. That, you're making payments, you're giving the cash, and in receipts, you receive the cash. So now secretary has to keep a watch on all the receipts and payments of the money. That means all the inward money which is coming and all the outward payments which you are doing. Now, secretary provides the necessary information. Now, secretary, when, after doing all the, banking transaction, maintaining proper books of accounts, keeping watch on the receipts and payment, secretary has to provide all these necessary information to the employer, management, banks and government. That means whatever information a secretary has related to the company, which is in relation with the financial position of the company, the secretary is supposed to provide those information to the employer, management, banks and government. Now, the fifth important function of a secretary is arranging meetings. Okay. Now see, the secretary arranges meeting, conducts meeting between the employer and other parties as per the provisions of the Act. Now, arranging meetings between the employer and other parties of the provisions, there are different kinds of meeting related to different stakeholders. See, we have already seen in correspondence what we understand by the word stakeholders. Stakeholders are nothing but persons who are in connection with the company. So yes, keeping those points in mind, the very first meeting is general meeting. See, general meeting is basically the annual general meeting, a meeting which is held once in a year of a company, that is shareholders meeting. Now, all these different kinds of meeting you are going to study in detail in the coming chapter. But as of now, all you are supposed to know is general meeting which is conducted for the shareholders. Now coming to the second meeting, meeting of the boards. Okay, the board of directors, the persons who are managing the company, their meeting is termed as meeting of the board, or I can say board meetings. And the third one is committee meeting. Committee is nothing but members appointed or selected, or a group in an organization. In a company, there are different kinds of committees, there are different kinds of projects, there are different objectives to be achieved for what committees are formed. So yes, there are different kinds of committee meetings in a company. So now conducting or arranging all the necessities of the meeting is a function of a secretary. I repeat, the secretary arranges meeting between the employer and any other parties as per the provisions of the Act. Now see, in relation with this meeting, there are three different important correspondence work, a written work which a secretary is supposed to do. The secretary drafts. To draft means to prepare. Okay, the secretary drafts, or I can say prepare, notices, agenda, and also minutes of the meeting. Now let us try to see each of these words. What is notice? See, notice is nothing but a formal announcement, or I can say a notification. Let's say if a secretary is going to arrange meeting after 10 days, the secretary is going to send a notice. A secretary is going to announce the date when the meeting is going to be conducted. When you are supposed to do a meeting, when there is a meeting, that is day, date, time and place. When you are supposed to conduct a meeting, at what place, what time, which day, everything will be there in the notice. So notice is nothing but a formal announcement or a notification which a secretary gives in writing. After that comes agenda. This is a new word for you all. Dear students, agenda is nothing but a list of items to be discussed at a formal meeting. Let's say, there are different kinds of topics to be discussed. Let's say there is an example in a meeting. I am going to, discuss about the progress of the company, appointment of new directors, and, the salary or the remuneration. So now these are the three important topics I'm going to discuss in the meeting. So these three important topics are nothing but agenda of the meeting. That is the topic I'm going to talk on. A list of items to be discussed at the formal meeting. And now the last comes minutes. See, the live written record of a meeting are known as minutes. That means, a meeting is going on. Just likewise, you must have seen in the, degree colleges. The lecturer is giving the lecture and the students are noting down the running notes. Whatever the lecturer is saying, the students are noting it down. Those live written records of a meeting are known as minutes of the meeting. Now coming to the sixth point, statutory functions. What do you mean by the statutory? Statutory means required, which is, it's required, it's compulsory, it's permitted, or I can say enacted as per law. Whatever the law is saying, I'm trying to follow the same. The secretary has to comply with all the provisions of the acts applicable to his organization. Now this is required to follow all the provisions of the acts applicable. That means whatever the rules and regulations that has been given by the Companies Act or by the government or by the law, secretary is supposed to follow all those acts. These following acts come under the function as statutory functions. Now, secretary has to comply with. Comply with means to obey the guidelines or regulations. Okay, to obey the guidelines or the regulations, or to agree to something. Okay, now see what are the different kinds of acts which comes under statutory functions are Income Tax Act, Stamp Act, Shop Act, Goods and Services Tax Act. That means whatever the rules and regulations which is provided by these act, it's a function of a secretary to follow those all. Now, before moving further to the seventh point, let us now have a clear idea about what is statistics. See, statistics is a way to get information from the data. Okay, let's say the facts, especially the numerical facts which is collected together for the reference or information. What is data? Data is nothing but the facts you collect. Okay, you try to collect all the numerical facts or the information, right? On the other hand, see what is information. Information is nothing but knowledge communicated concerning some particular fact. If you collect a data and you come to know this is the fact, and once you are known of it, you have an information about that data. So now statistics is a way to get information from the data, whatever data you have, and then you form it in the form of knowledge. Now moving further to the seventh point is assistance in formulating policies. Assistance. The word assistance is derived from the word assist, means to help. Okay, the word assist means to help. Now coming to the point, the secretary has to collect statistical data and information. The secretary has to collect all the numerical data and have a proper information. Now these information assist the management in formulating policies. This information will help the management to form all the policies or the rules and regulations of the companies. Now see, for an example, there are the stages of statistics. Statistics is a way to get information from the data. Okay, now let's say you have collected some data. Now you're going to organize that data and then present it in a bar chart or in a graph, like this is the data, this is the sales for the particular year, and then that sales would have a proper analyze. To analyze means to see and to check. After analyzing, you are going to interpret that. Interpret means to solve or to explain. After having all the interpretation, the management is going to make conclusion and then take the correct decision. So this is how secretary helps in formulating policies. Secretary is going to collect the statistical data, the information, and then going to present those informations to the management, and then it will be helpful for the management in formulating policies. Coming to the eighth point, again it's quite similar, which is providing information. Secretary provides accurate and relevant information. Accurate, correct. Relevant information means proper, to the point. Now the secretary provides accurate and relevant information related to various departments in the organization. Now it's a duty of a secretary to have proper check. Okay, it's secretary whose duty is to look after all the different departments, or I can say whatever is happening in a department, all the reports should be there with the secretary. Now it's a duty of the secretary to provide these information to the different stakeholders. Now those different stakeholders are none but management, banks, government departments, shareholders, and employees of the organization. Coming to the last and final function of a secretary is administrative function. Okay, what do you understand by the word administration? We have already seen in the previous lectures, right? To administer means to look after. Okay, the secretary performs administrative functions in the form of assisting in appointing employees, helping in appointing employees, distribution of office work, supervision, training, and promotion. Okay, this is the first part with the administrative function, looking after the whole of the organization. Apart from these administrative functions, secretary maintains all statutory books under proper custody. Now, see, you can see in the image, trying to keep all the files properly and in the lock. That is nothing but a proper custody, right? The word custody itself says care, taking care of, or keeping it safe. Now, secretary maintains all statutory books. Statutory books are nothing but the key registers, or I can say the other official records of the company. So now these are the 9 important functions which secretary is supposed to do in an organization. With this we come to an end with the functions of secretary. That's all for today, class. Thank you.